It starts with a phone call. A mother in Manchester picks up. She hears her daughter's voice, panicked, breathless, begging for help. There's been an accident. She needs money. Right now. The mother doesn't hesitate. She transfers £3,000 before she hangs up. Then she calls her daughter back. Her daughter is fine. She's at work. She has no idea what her mother is talking about. That voice on the phone, her daughter's voice, her exact accent, her exact way of speaking, was generated by artificial intelligence, built from 3 seconds of audio scraped from a birthday video on Facebook. 3 seconds. That's all it took. Welcome to the new face of financial crime. It doesn't wear a mask. It wears your face. It speaks in your voice. And it is scaling faster than any law enforcement agency on Earth can track.
We need an international summit to break down on fraudsters and scamsters abroad as well.
In 2025, more than 4 million cases of fraud resulting in financial loss were reported in the United Kingdom alone. That is nearly 8 cases every single minute, every hour of every day of the year. The total stolen, almost £1.3 billion. That figure comes from UK Finance, the banking trade body that compiles the most comprehensive annual assessment of fraud losses in Britain. Their 2026 report doesn't just document a problem, it sounds an alarm. Losses from investment scams surged by 40% in a single year, a new record. Purchase scams hit record levels. Romance fraud, the manipulation of lonely, trusting people through fabricated relationships, grew in both volume and cruelty. And running beneath all of it, accelerating everything, artificial intelligence. This isn't a story about a clever hacker typing away in a basement. This is industrialized deception, criminal networks deploying AI at scale, automating the lies, optimizing the manipulation, running thousands of scams simultaneously with minimal human effort. The banks have a word for it now. They call it a national security threat.
You can easily clone anyone's voice.
It's so good at handling emotions.
It can even do accents and different languages.
To understand how we got here, you have to understand what has changed. For decades, fraud relied on human effort. Criminals had to write the emails, make the calls, maintain the lies. That created natural limits on scale, on quality, on reach. AI has removed every one of those limits. Voice cloning, the ability to create a convincing replica of any person's voice, now requires just 3 seconds of audio. 3 seconds scraped from a voicemail, a YouTube video, a Facebook post. Research from security firm McAfee found that with that tiny sample, AI can produce a clone with 85% accuracy. And according to a December 2025 report in Fortune magazine, voice cloning has crossed what researchers are calling the indistinguishable threshold. Human listeners can no longer reliably tell the difference. Deepfake video has followed the same trajectory. In 2024, deepfakes on video calls were a theoretical risk. By 2026, real-time face swapping is achievable on consumer graphics cards using open-source software. A convincing deepfake video, one that can fool experienced professionals on a live Zoom call, can now be produced in 4 to 5 minutes. An AI-generated text? 82% of phishing emails now contain AI-generated content. AI-written phishing messages achieve click-through rates more than 4 times higher than human-crafted ones. The spelling mistakes and awkward grammar that used to betray a scam, gone. The criminals have, in effect, automated empathy. They have built machines that understand what makes you trust someone, what makes you afraid, what makes you act before you think. And they run those machines at industrial scale, 24 hours a day, against millions of targets simultaneously. In early 2024, an employee at Arup, one of the world's most respected engineering firms, the company behind the Sydney Opera House's structural calculations, sat down for what appeared to be a routine video call. On screen were the company's chief financial officer and several senior colleagues. The CFO explained there was an urgent, confidential matter. The employee was instructed to authorize a series of transfers. He did 15 transactions, $25 million, wired to bank accounts in Hong Kong. Every single person on that call was a deepfake. The CFO, the colleagues, every face, every voice, synthetic, generated from publicly available footage. It remains the largest documented case of deepfake fraud in corporate history. Arup's global chief information officer later told journalists that the number and sophistication of such attacks had been rising sharply. The company confirmed the fraud but said its internal systems and client data were unaffected. Think about what that took. Not a broken lock or a stolen password. A fake video call. Trust weaponized. Technology turned against the instinct that has always protected us. The instinct to believe our own eyes. There's a temptation to imagine that scam victims are naive, gullible, that they fell for something anyone would have seen through. The evidence says otherwise. Kim and Jan Sawyer are a retired couple from Melbourne, Australia. Kim spent his career as a university professor. Both hold master's degrees. Both are experienced stock market investors. After clicking on what appeared to be a legitimate advertisement for a low-risk investment fund, they were drawn into contact with a man who had a British accent, used correct financial market terminology, and handled every follow-up question with convincing expertise. Over several months, they transferred more than $2.5 million. The man never existed. The accent, the expertise, the entire persona, a construction. The investment never existed either. Their retirement savings were gone. Kim Sawyer later told a United Nations office on drugs and crime, "The scammer works twice. They take your money and they take your soul. They really do. They take your self-worth. And then you feel like you're being scammed again by authorities' lack of response." Steve Beecham is an 82-year-old retiree in the United States. He drained his retirement fund and invested $690,000 after watching a video of Elon Musk promoting cryptocurrency investment opportunity. The video was a deepfake. 1 in 4 adults have now experienced an AI voice scam. 1 in 3 online daters has been targeted by a romance scam. These are not the margins of society. This is mainstream crime with mainstream victims. The technology is only part of the story. Behind the algorithms are humans, but not the kind you might imagine. Across Southeast Asia, in compounds in Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, the Philippines, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime has documented the rise of what officials are calling scam factories. Industrial complexes where thousands of workers, many of them trafficking victims themselves, are forced to operate fraud at scale. These are not ordinary criminals improvising. These are organized criminal enterprises with corporate structures, HR departments, performance quotas, and disciplinary systems that the United Nations has confirmed include torture for workers who fail to meet targets. AI has transformed the economics of these operations, where once a factory might run dozens of scams simultaneously. AI chatbots can now maintain thousands of fake romantic relationships at the same time, each one calibrated to its target, each one patient, each one building emotional investment over weeks or months before the financial request comes. Researchers at cybersecurity firm Checkpoint documented one operation, codenamed The Truman Show, that deployed 90 AI-generated expert personas inside controlled messaging groups, directing victims to install trading applications where the data was entirely fabricated by the criminal servers. The cryptocurrency analytics firm Canalys reported $14 billion in global crypto scam losses in 2025. AI-enabled scams, they found, were 4.5 times more profitable than traditional fraud. When Kim Sawyer lost his retirement savings, he went to the authorities, the banks, the financial regulators, the police. He described what followed as a second scam. This is not an isolated complaint. It is a structural failure. Financial crime has moved at the speed of technology. Law enforcement, banking regulation, and international cooperation have not. UK Finance has been explicit in its 2026 report. Banks cannot be the only line of defense. The organization is calling for enforceable legal duties on technology platforms, social media companies, app stores, advertising networks that are used to recruit, deceive, and harvest victims. The banks themselves blocked £1.68 billion in attempted fraud last year, more than was actually stolen. But blocking fraud at the banking layer is like trying to stop a flood with a mop. The fraud originates on social platforms, messaging apps, and dating sites that currently bear no legal liability for the harm they facilitate. In March 2026, a global fraud summit in Vienna brought together governments, law enforcement agencies, and technology companies, including Meta and TikTok, to agree on coordinated responses. Representatives from nearly 60 countries attended a parallel conference in Bangkok. The commitments were significant. The implementation remains to be seen. Organized crime, meanwhile, does not wait for international summits. The banks, the technology companies, the security researchers, they are not standing still. Behavioral biometrics, technology that recognizes the unique patterns of how you type, how you move your mouse, how you hold your phone, is now embedded in banking apps across the UK. The premise: even if a criminal has your password, they don't have your body. Gartner, the research and advisory firm, predicts that by 2026, 30% of enterprises will no longer consider standalone identity verification solutions to be reliable in isolation. The industry is moving toward layered verification, multiple independent channels that a synthetic voice or deepfake face cannot simultaneously defeat. Fraud detection AI is now being deployed against fraud deployment AI. Machine learning systems trained on the linguistic and behavioral signatures of AI-generated communications are achieving detection rates that human reviewers cannot match at scale. But the arms race is a fundamental asymmetry. The criminals need to succeed once. The defenders need to succeed every time. And the criminals' tools get cheaper, faster, and more accessible every month. A phone rings. A voice you recognize says your name. In the world we now live in, that may be enough. Enough to make you trust. Enough to make you act. Enough to make you transfer everything you have built to someone you have never met. £1.3 billion stolen in a single year. 8 cases every minute. 40% more investment fraud than 12 months ago. A criminal infrastructure that has harnessed the most powerful technology ever created and pointed it, with precision and patience, at ordinary people living ordinary lives. The machine that lies is real. It is running now, and it knows your voice better than you think. Legal disclaimer: this documentary is based entirely on publicly available reports, regulatory filings, court records, and named institutional sources. No living individual has been accused of specific criminal conduct without reference to official legal proceedings or convictions. The Wealth Crime Lab is an independent production channel. This content is presented for educational and journalistic purposes.